What's up, everybody? How you guys doing tonight? My name is Reese with House of Reps here at the Geckoverse. We're doing a little power hour tonight. We got Joe with Wild Card over there. I don't think you guys remember that hat. Maybe you do. And then we got my boy Mark up here. What's up, Mark?
What's going on? Happy to be here.
Good, good. What's up, Joe?
I'm doing all right, man. Now, Mark, is it Brunsdon or Brunsdon?
Brunsdon.
Brunsdon. All right. I want to
Okay,
make
nice.
sure I remembered that one.
That's why I didn't say the last name. I wasn't sure.
Most people are afraid of it.
Yeah. Well, that's good, man. So yeah, we got our boy Can Geckos here from Ontario, right?
Yeah, you got her.
Yep, Can Gecko. So check this guy out. You want to tell us about yourself a little bit?
Yeah, so Mark Brunsdon up in Canada, Ontario here, running Can Geckos. Started up 2021 was my first breeding season. Obviously, like anybody else, a lot of history with reptiles, but got bored during COVID. Ordered a bunch of stock in from the States and had first breeding season in 2021, and really rest is history in terms of where I'm working my lines, and that I plan on being here for the long haul.
Okay. So you're kind of like me, a COVID breeder. Came out.
Oddly enough, yeah, and it's funny because my niece was looking for a leopard gecko, and I started going online. I went to go to king snakes and all the forums that I used to go to that didn't exist anymore, right? And just found that it felt like there was a lack of breeders. So that's what enticed me to get back into it.
Get back into it. So you bred before COVID?
Yeah, it would have been like just hobby breeder, right? I was into, shame to say it, ball pythons back in probably 08. Maybe even before. It's probably 04 to 08. Bred leopard geckos as a hobby breeder, and then had a in reptiles as well, green trees, carpet pythons, frilled dragons for a short period of time before I realized they were a little bit too experienced for my level of responsibility as a 20-something-year-old.
Well, I was going to ask you, how old are you? You're talking about started breeding in 08 and stuff. So yeah,
how old 41. So it shows up top here.
I'm older than you, bro. There's hair under here.
Joe, we know you spray that stuff on, dude.
Yeah, it's a wig I wear.
That's why the hat's always there.
Yeah, I'm 44. I'm the oldest here, huh?
Yeah.
Feel proud of yourself?
I do.
So, well, when you get back into it, what pushed you towards the leopard geckos? What made you choose, of all things, like that's the one I want to start breeding?
Yeah, I mean, I always enjoyed working with them, right? So I had experience breeding them before. At the time, it was I picked up some sun glows when those first came out, which would have been, I swear it must have been around 07 or 08 when those first came out, and bred those. So it was really my niece looking for leopard geckos, and then I did all this searching and saw where the hobby had gone while I was out of it. And really it was seeing some of these line bred traits that had really evolved, because when I left, I think we had blizzards, Murphy's pattern list, the sun glows had just come out. And Raptor and Enigma was the great big thing that was coming out, was the Enigmas. So when doing my research, right, I found Gecko Boa relatively quickly, and saw what was happening with the fire bowls, that I just loved the contrast in that bold tangerine. And that was one of my very first projects was those.
Hello, bold tangerine lover over here.
Yeah, I know.
No, those are sick. So, okay. Well, I don't know what else to ask right now. Hold on. I gotta catch my breath. Having a moment here.
Angel over at Infamous says, did somebody say bold tangerine?
That's what brought him out.
I guess we got his attention finally.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got some nice stuff.
You first started getting back in with firebolts?
Yeah, that was one of the. So I mean, when I got started back in, I imported, I think it was 12 animals in total from the state. So from
the same breeder, or like different breeders?
Different breeders. So I was selective on who I brought them from.
Nice.
So I wanted strong genetics that I could trust, and I knew I could trust any hidden heads along the way as well, which is why I went stateside in just having those real reputable breeders and the lines that I wanted to work with. There are some great breeders in Canada, right? And I mean, the one that I'll call out that everybody really pays attention to worldwide is Extreme Exotics, right? Brandon and Holly and the work that they're doing with Black Knights. It's unreal what they're pushing out there.
Yeah.
But no, I brought two animals from John, an Extreme Bold because that's a line I wanted to work with, and it was a Fire Bold female that I got from him, both completely het free. I had a lot of dialogue with Chris from Suburban Charlton, and great dialogue. Like he took a lot of extra time with me, which kudos to him on that.
Yeah, you said he mentored you, right, or helped mentor you a lot.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm calling out somebody who was a mentor to me getting started back in, it is Chris, right? Like we had dialogue on the phone, but he realized quickly from his communications that I wasn't somebody looking to be spoon-fed. I had done all my research. I'm coming to him with specific questions, and that's what he highlighted. And it's funny, the more that we talked, the more that we came from similar backgrounds in terms of our demographic, our age, what we have going on in our personal lives, and in our professional careers. At the time, I was working for a tech private company, and I mean, he's directing a tech private company as well. So a lot of similarities in that regard. So there was 4 animals I brought from him. Joe Yingling from Lake Erie Leopard Geckos took 2 from him after doing my research into who he was, right, and where he got his animals. And then I bought a few animals from Tremper's Legacy Lines that was currently being run by Bergman Julie. She had just taken over, but the purpose was getting the blue amber eye from him because I wanted that recessive trait to be working with.
Yeah, I actually really liked what you said about not having to be spoon fed.
Yeah,
man, nothing makes me happier than when somebody reaches out for information, but they've started to look into it. They're not looking for me to do it all for them. That's actually something so I wanted to say, definitely like that.
No, for real. Because I mean, a lot of people don't want to have those conversations where you have to hold every single person's hand every time you talk to somebody. So to have somebody come at you and already kind of know what they're talking about, and you can actually have good dialogue, it is a little exciting. You're like, oh, you know what? I kind of like you, my guy. So I feel you.
No, and that's it, right? And it led to, like Chris and I spent hours on the phone chatting through, and it's just shooting the shit, right? It's not about, hey, what should I cross, or hey, what should I do with this, or what's it teach me about? Nah, like it's shooting the shit and talking about some of those more tough conversations along the way as well.
That's how me and this guy became friends. Just having those conversations over and over. So
that's it. But no, what was really, really nice and brought everything full circle is last summer, so not 2024, but 23. I was down in Nashville for a conference, my wife and I, and we drive right by where Charlton is. So much to my wife's dismay, on the drive home from Nashville, we popped in to meet with Chris. And I think that it was about 2.5, 3 hours into that conversation that we were having to be exited from it, because we would have kept going.
That's always a good feeling, man, when it's not like being rushed and you've had to say bye 6 times and you're like, we're still talking. All right, man. So it's a good feeling, dude. But I did want to go back to what you were saying earlier. You got your blue amber eye stuff. So that's really what I wanted to talk about, is what made you want to get that and start a project with that? Because you kind of got it early when it first came out. So a lot of testing still wasn't done with it yet. And so you got it pretty early, and you're already 3-4 years into your project with it. So you've had a lot more experience with it than I have, and not too many people work with it. So I want to just divulge a little bit about that.
I mean, to answer your question of why, like what brought me towards it, is I wanted some recessive traits that weren't as avidly widespread in use. Like I want to stay away from Eclipse, plain and simple. The only reason you're going to see Eclipse in my collection is because everything is het-free clips. So there's always a possibility on most things that you're working with.
Yeah.
And then obviously for testing purposes. But outside of that,
Cool.
I'm trying to work with the less known recessive traits, which is my blue ambri and the rainwater. To me were very unused. So to have those two things together just appealed to me. And then it was also the factor that I'm up here in Canada, right? Like, there's blue ambri in the States. There was none in Canada. As far as I'm aware, I was the very first person in Canada working with the blue ambri at all.
Okay. So we got a trend.
I'd like to say the same about Cypher. I'm pretty sure that I'm the first one who produced a Cypher and marketed it for sale in Canada. I won't say I'm the first working with it because I don't know what Brandon's got in his collection, right? Like he's working, like, look at what he put out the other day for where he's at with his Cypher project in the Tremper Melanistic het Cypher.
Who is Brandon?
Brandon and Holly from Extreme Exotics.
Oh, okay. I just know Holly. I didn't know Brandon.
I was going to say, you should know that name. That guy's a beast.
No, I know Holly. I just never heard of the Brandon.
I do know Holly as well. Yeah. She's awesome.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah. So and I mean, so that's what drew me to it. Is I wanted things that weren't
something new, something that hasn't been used as much.
Yeah.
Okay. So with it now, what's your project with it? Did you have a name for it or?
No. I mean, I don't have names for any projects. They're just projects. Really, I mean, what I immediately put my blue ambri rainwater into was Extreme Bold. It's about having those animals that I trust are het free. If I'm going to be putting two less used recessive traits into something, I want to be able to know that when I'm putting it to, I'm not screwing lines along the way or muddying waters. So put it into my Extreme Bold, looking to get a bold blue ambri, as well as back into itself to have the rainwater version as well over time with more bold influence. So I mean, Gen 1, obviously a whole bunch of hets. Unfortunately, even the ones that I incubated for male and that hatched at 35 days all came out female. So I wasn't putting hets back to hets in year 2.
Yeah.
But those first year animals were ugly as sin. Didn't hold the bold or anything, but it was year 2, year 3 when putting them back into some of the Extreme Bolds. And I also crossed some of my nicer that were holding a little bit of bold into Firebolt as well to get that bold tangerine mix in to a separate project of them.
Okay, so it's a mixture of Burning Blood, Firebolt,
and Extreme Bold.
And Extreme Bold.
Yeah, exactly. And where I'm getting, I'm kind of taking it in two different directions at this point. One is the bold tangerine with the blue ambri. And then I've put some of those really nice bold that don't have the tangerine influence, but have more of the Extreme Bold influence back into Extreme Bold now. That really have that enhanced dark bold stripe. No visuals blue ambris out of that one yet, but a really nice 100% het male produced this year that he'll be my marquee male that I know exactly what female I'm putting him back to next year.
Okay. Are you using like multiple males, or you just have like one main that goes to everybody, or you use a bunch of different ones?
Different males along the way, but I mean, everything from my blue ambri right now does still tail back to that original grandfather, great grandfather at this point for some of them in that Burning Blood that I brought in. And that's why I put him into a few other lines, the Extreme Bold and the Firebolt, to diversify that instead of just having it always the same blood in there.
Yeah. Well, you know what I like about the blue ambri? We talked about it before. Something that's pretty cool when you notice. A lot of like iGenes, they'll have two versions when you have the albino into it. You know what I mean? So it'll have like the red version of the Eclipse. Cypher is a little reddish too, or the black. But with blue ambri, there's no difference between the albino and just regular, and it's pretty crazy and cool to see because there's really no difference. And I don't know because I'm not a scientist or whatever, but I would like to know why that is. You know what I mean? Like, what makes it not change with the albino? Is there something colliding, some preventing it? You know, or are they canceling out something? Like, I don't know. If somebody knows, comment below. But yeah, I just thought that was pretty unique. You know, that's what draw me to it is something different, something new. Just like you said, we talked a lot, and we have a lot of similarities when it comes to
Yeah, we do.
projects and pairings and stuff. It's very. I have firebold, extreme bold, Alby Snow, blue amber eye stuff too. So it's just crazy. Without talking, we have similar stuff. So it's pretty funny. But
Yeah, no. And I mean, to your point that there's no difference. Yeah, I haven't observed any difference whatsoever. What I've found interesting is I've had a few that when hatched, I didn't think that they were a visual blue amber eye. It wasn't necessarily apparent. It's hard to see a baby gecko
No,
that's
same. When
walking
I
at you
had
in their
my first
eye.
ones this year, and I asked you a couple of times, like, "Hey, is this it?" Because I couldn't tell, but it also was an albino eye, so I was just like, I just want to be sure.
Yeah.
So I had that same trouble.
Yeah, but no, I mean, last year I had two. I had two bold tangerines that I had labeled as 50% posset blue amber eye, and then as they develop, now they're blue amber eye through and through. It's there, and it's a visual. So anybody working with them, make sure you take your time with them before releasing it. Not that you should be releasing a tiny hatchling anyway, but.
Do you have any examples on your Instagram? Maybe Joe could pull up one.
Not of the hatchling eye. I didn't expect it to happen. Yeah, I'll start taking more of those, but
it is hard.
Yeah, I've got examples of the blue amber eye itself, but not of the hatchling that wasn't apparent. No,
got you.
And then to me, that's just a head.
Yeah. But the cool thing we talked about with that too is a lot of other albinos, if you take them outside in the sun or even a light box, photo box, you know, they're very sensitive with their eyes. But the sensitivity also isn't really there with the blue amber eye albino. So it's kind of crazy too. Yeah. I'll put them in the light box and their eyes are wide open looking at me. They barely shut them. Maybe if I go out in like direct sunlight, they'll close their eyes a little bit, but they'll open them right back up and get adjusted. So that's also something pretty neat about them as well.
Yeah, no, and yeah, like I do all my photography now outside and in direct sunlight. I'm finding is where I'm getting the best representation of pictures.
Yeah,
I haven't seen any reaction to being outside the way that you have like a tremper that's going to scramble away, squint its eyes closed. And you have a miserable time taking a picture of them. But same thing with the light box, because I used to use a light box and a camera, and I have switched over to a phone and outdoor pictures for ease of use.
What camera were you using?
Was it a Kodak or a Canon? It was a nice camera. Like, and my parents did a ton of photography, like a ton. The setups that they have is astronomical. So they brought me one of their cameras and a couple macro lenses to play with and use. It got decent, but I still found that I could never get that. The color was off. It was almost faded or dark for the whole picture. And then I'm playing with the white contrast. I don't want to edit the picture at all. All I want to do is crop. I want zero editing because this picture is representative of itself. So that's why I switched to indirect light outside with the camera, with the phone, and it's saving me hours.
What's up, Junior? No, that would be cool. A melanistic. I know somebody who's actually working on that over in the UK. CNM Geckos working on something like that. Black Knight, blue amber eye stuff.
He's got some visuals too, I'm pretty sure.
No, I think he might have one, but I think he said next year he was gonna have some, or like almost there. But so yeah, with the albino though being attached to it, I know you're also trying to separate, are you not?
Well, I mean, directly and indirectly, right? With my projects of moving it in, like I'm down to 12.5% on some of my animals that I'm working with. Um,
12%
I
possible hit. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Am I diligently trying to get it out because I have a goal of putting it into Tremper or Bell? Not at this point.
Gotcha.
But that absolutely is something that I will be testing to see probably next year. 2 years is where I would start testing back once I have a really nice, looking more like the extreme bold pattern visual blue amber eye. That's the one that I'll be looking to start testing so that I could
Testing that
potentially
for
use
the
and
rainwater.
cross a bit more. But we're a ways away from that.
So, can you tell us about the process though of trying to separate it? Can you break it down at all of what you did to try to move away from it? I know you have both groups, but your group that's moving away from it, can you explain how you did that?
Yeah, I mean it's just been for me for my extreme bold crosses. It's been crossing the animals that I mean, obviously, so we all keep our records. We all understand genetics. We all understand percentages, or I hope that we do, or we should be taking a lesson before resuming breeding on how to
It
assess
took
and
me a
breed.
while. I'm not gonna lie. It took me my third and fourth year to understand percentages.
Fair. So, I mean, I am tracking all of this, obviously, so I'm knowing my percentages and what the probability is. But at the end of the day, we need to know that it's either 100% het or it's not het at all. Like the
Exactly.
fact that it's a 12.5 probability is just that. It's a probability. It either is or
Yeah,
it isn't. So,
exactly.
am I
I've
going to
been
hit
into
the
like
odds or not?
screaming matches with people that didn't understand that. And you're saying it now, and that same, like, I'll say person would probably be like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like,
No, I remember Blizzy Bold was teaching me that, and I was like, "What do you mean? It's 12%, which means it is." He's like, "No, it's 12% possibility." And
yeah,
he was getting aggravated with me, and I would be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm a dumbass. I get it
Yeah.
now." You know.
So no, I mean to answer your question, it's I am putting that into extreme bolds in that case. Different extreme bolds, males and females that I know are het free because I brought them in from John. Plain and simple. Have I tested them for het free? No, I haven't yet. The only person that I actually trust as het free is John Stock. No offense to anybody else. But
no, I'm
I will
offended.
Yeah,
inspect and
yeah.
verify. Whereas with John, if I'm producing his animals, I'm
We all
labeling
agree.
those as no known hets within my own collection when I produce extreme bolds that are both from him. Not no hets, no known hets, right? Unless I've tested it, it's no known hets to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we do have one question actually from Junior. He says, "Have you tested against rainwater itself, similar to what John is seeing with his ciphers?" I assume that has to
So
do with the
Okay.
I was waiting
Okay.
for a
So I
place to talk
believe that
about
what
that.
you're asking is have I tested a blue amber eye against rainwater to make sure that the two aren't correlated, if I'm interpreting that question properly.
similar to John's most recent post. Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Yes. So one of the animals I brought in from Lake Erie leopard geckos was a firewater. So I was putting my original blue amber eye male directly into that, and then put some of the offspring directly into that as well. I've never produced a blue amber eye when putting it into that firewater. Is that extensive testing? No, not by any stretch, but
Yeah.
in that limited fashion, no. They were producing rainwaters, absolutely, and some gorgeous ones. One male that I wish I hadn't have let go in hindsight, but no.
But isn't that how rainwater or not rainwater, a blue amber eye was discovered, right? It was rainwater to rainwater and it popped out of that. Did it not? Or tangerine rainwater stuff?
Yeah, so Helen was working a project. If memory, it's been a long time since I've
I
read
was
up
reading
on
it
it.
today to refresh from the website. Yeah, I was saying she's
Yeah, but I
working
mean,
on a project.
it was a project working with different blood lineage and rainwaters, and then through all of her line breeding of it, she eventually popped out the blue amber eye.
Wine
So
breeding
what?
tangerine rainwaters.
Exactly. So did that originate from some odd animals, from the blood, from the rainwater? I didn't see any. I don't remember seeing anything conclusive from that
Yeah,
research.
it's not too much information, and even then, when you read it, it's still like left off, like outdated. Like, oh, we'll update next year, and that year has been passed, and there's no.
Well, that's because Ron and Halen aren't running it anymore,
Yeah,
right? So
true. That's why we gotta lift the heavy load and get in there and figure it out for everybody.
yeah.
All right, Joe, you got any questions?
No, not at the moment. I put a comment in. I just would say that BAE hasn't been out
Yeah,
long enough for any extensive testing. And if you read Ron's website before he got out, it almost step by step gave you the year that you would see certain things. And if you
yeah,
try to claim you saw it beforehand, it's not real. So it's interesting that you say all that because I don't think extensive testing would be something that's available yet, but
yeah.
it will be because a lot of folks are working with it now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, just to further elaborate on your question earlier about, like testing along the way, I mean, something that I was very focused on testing when I started was one of my original Firebolt males that I got from Chris had a very small possibility of being het for Tremper, right? And all my other Firebolts were het free. So I worked on testing him, and I was 3 seasons that I put him into 3 to 4 visual Trempers every year, testing him, and 0 Trempers ever popped out. So I now would label him as no known hets based on that. But that's the level of testing. I mean,
Gotcha.
it's not one season, one and done. It's not that you can play the odds because this is nature. This isn't odds. I mean, I've picked up animals from people that thought it was a very small possibility, and then bam, I hatch out 2, right? So
first
happens.
Dang, man. Well, so how is like the expo scene out there and like the reptile hobby where you are? You know what I mean? Like we have local shows and stuff like that. Sometimes they're okay and things like that, but how is it over there for you?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a shitty time right now. Like,
well, yeah,
talk about getting in when it was at a peak, when people had extra money to burn and extra time during COVID to spend a fortune on these animals, and then by the time I'm producing, it's in its downturn. And I mean, there's peaks and valleys with anything. As I said at the very beginning of the show, I'm here for the long haul. And I'll quote Chris in the fact that it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? I'm not going anywhere. I'm not expecting to produce anything overnight. So they're hit and miss, to answer your question about the expos, but I think that is really indicative of where our hobby is right now and our economy as a whole. It's not just about our hobby, it's about the economy as a whole.
Yeah.
I'm sure that we'll see that bounce back. But I am in Kingston in Ontario, which is in between Montreal, Ottawa, and Toronto, which are 3 major cities. Like Toronto, I'm sure you guys have heard of. You've never heard of it, I doubt. Montreal, absolutely as well. So Toronto, there are a lot of shows. Interestingly enough, the Canadian Reptile Breeders Expo that is held in Toronto is the 3rd largest show in North America, based on the way they present it. So I believe it's accurate. You've got great promoters in that regard, doing massive shows. Like you're talking 100 plus vendors at any given show, and they were running shows pretty much every 6 weeks, which was a bit of overkill. But this last year they've downplayed that, or they've cut back a little bit to probably, I'd say, every couple months, every 2 to 2.5 months, there's another show. So for me, that's about $300. So the cost for a table here, my understanding, is more than the States, right? Like for me to get a table at that show, you're talking $300.
Yeah, you're telling me that's expensive.
Yeah.
Dude. Out here, we're paying like maybe $100, $130. I've heard.
Right. Well, and that's just for the table. So I've got my table cost. I've got my my commute there. I've got a hotel because I don't like traveling first thing in the morning when I've got a 3-hour drive. I want to drive the night before and then have a relaxing morning before the show. So those are all those added costs along the way.
Do you get electricity while you're there? I know some people do that for like lights and stuff. Is that another added cost, or is it included?
It is included. You bring long extension cords.
It better be.
Yeah, no, I'm saying
It's definitely not to code the way it's set up.
Like if fire starts, don't ask me no questions. If fire starts.
No. So I unplugged at the last show. Oh man, it was just a string of bars and power cords to bars to extension cords. I unplugged my whole setup from the string before going home for the night.
I was about to say, you just start unplugging random breeders trying to find your plug. Like, oh, it's you. Sorry. Oh, it's you. Sorry.
But no, we get good traffic at the shows, and they're really hit and miss. I mean, some of them I'll move a few animals and I'll cover my cost. It's my first show, which was 2 years ago now, when I started really marketing myself. Geez, that was a loss. But I had my prices too high for the time. I was basing on what I thought they would sell for in the US, and then converted to Canadian price on the dollar as well. So I was too high at that first show. But
it'd be like that. My first show didn't go too well either. I think I sold like 2 geckos, and it was like literally pulling teeth. The lady came 2 days in a row holding it for 10 minutes. I'm just like, just take it. Just go away at this point. Just take it and go.
Yeah.
Like it was crazy.
That's the thing. I think it really depends on the person too. You got to engage. You've got to have a professional looking booth. You've got to know your stuff and know your animals. And that's one thing that was very quickly highlighted to me at the very first show I did. And yeah, I had a tablecloth. I had a runner with my logo. But it was that my animals were very well labeled, in the fact that exactly what they were, every possible hatch, the hatch date, everything's on that label. And had a YouTube personality comment on that. And as a rookie, first time at this show, for somebody like that to come over and to comment, it's like, okay, that's what matters to me. It's about ethics. It's about ethics, integrity, and strength and genetics. So thank you for that.
Well, I was going to ask you about your logo too. So where did the logo come from? Was it just random? You threw it together? Was there thought behind it, or
random? I can't remember the online company that will generate a logo. It was very automated. So I will rebrand at some point. But that's going to take time. It's going to take an investment. But I've got a guy back east that I know does a lot of graphic design. So once I know what I want that to be, I'm going to work with him to rebrand in that regard. But one of the big changes or additions that I did do at the most recent show was having a back banner, right? Like a great big 8x4 back banner with my animals that I designed.
You just got it?
Sure.
You just got one?
Yeah, for the most recent Canadian Reptile Breeders Expo, because I want to draw more people in, right? And you're not drawing it in with the logo that I have, so
it's all good. You got the personality to wing it.
That's a big thing. I don't grab a chair at those shows. I am standing, and I'll tell you, those 9 to 6 days are long.
What I do is to take a knee. I just put my knee in the chair, so I'm still standing. I just put a knee in it.
Yeah.
You gotta learn how to rest a little bit. So it sounds like you got a lot going on, man. You got a couple projects going on. You're doing expos and stuff like that. So how do you find a balance between your job? You have a full-time job.
Yeah.
Just like everything you got going on, you have a good spirit and attitude about it. Like, how do you maintain all this all the time?
Yeah, I mean, this is my passion. This is my me time. Plain and simple, right? Like my full-time job, that's my income. Those are my pensionable hours. that I'm putting in. My family life is obviously huge and critical to me as well, right? Like I've got 3 kids, the 9-year-old, 9 going on 19. I like to joke, and then twin 7-year-old. So they they take up the time outside of work, and then my time for my hobby and the geckos is evenings and nights once people go to bed. And then outside of that, the weekends going to do these shows, it is my away time, my alone time. That's the night in the hotel where I get to watch garbage TV in a hotel bed. That's pretty damn nice.
Yeah. So that you already answered I was gonna ask, do you bring the kids with you for help or what? So it sounds like you ditch the fam and get your man time in while you're gone.
It's nice, yeah. I do enjoy that, but my oldest, Nora, she came to one of the shows with me. She's 9. She's more interested in running around and buying all the 3D printed crap that people have. I swear,
dude, my daughter too. Right. Can I get an axolotl? Can I get this? I'm like, no.
Yep. But no, she came to her first show this year, and there were times where I made her stand behind the table. And it's funny because after a while, she's standing there, and she's standing. She's not sitting. She has a smile on her face, but she turns to me and she's like, everybody's asking you all the questions. It's like, then you need to engage them. You need to talk to them. Yeah. And then we started rehearsing how to open that dialogue. And I think it was simple. It was like, hi, how are you today? Right? But it's how to engage that person. And then they started talking to her, and you can start answering those simple questions while I focus on closing the sale or answering the more complex ones.
Did you guys see this comment by Brett?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Geckos come first. Yeah. He means that, man. He really means that. He'll be up early and then up all hours of the night in his reptile room, just chasing people out of the room. I'm busy. Get out.
That'd be the end of my marriage. One of the agreements that was made when I was getting into this was that the geckos get the basement. Which isn't their common living area. That the geckos get the basement, and they need to be earning for themselves within 3 years.
Yeah.
Which they are. They have their own bank account. They are buying their own mealworms. And if I smell them, it's over. I think she's a little bit loose on the third part. I've got a lot of those.
We try, though.
I just take the blame
to avoid it.
She'll be like, you smell that? I'm like, it's just me.
That's right.
Can't get rid of me. So, yeah.
Yep. Oh.
Okay. So it sounds like you have a good time, man. You got a good balance of everything. It sounds like you got to, handling your home life, your work life. Your geckos. Nobody's starving and ain't going bad over there. But so U.S. is I guess king from what I hear. You're saying U.S. has all the best stuff. I was talking to Indonesian people the other day. They said U.S. has all the best stuff. But is there stuff that you can't get where you are that we have only? Like, I feel like a lot of people can get the same stuff everywhere, but is there like specific things that you can't get that we have?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%, and that's why I've brought stuff in from the States.
Well, not just genetics.
Some of the line bred stuff, some of the recessive stuff just isn't here. And I mean, the examples I'll give is when I was getting started, Firebolt caught my eye, Extreme Bolt caught my eye, Purple Head caught my eye. And then I wanted to be working with the BAs and Rainwater from a recessive standpoint.
I meant more so of like non-genetic, non-morph, like just stuff in general. Like my boy in the UK, like they can't get heat tape in the UK. They have to have like heat cable specifically. So like, do you guys have rack breeders out there? Not rack breeders, but rack producers out there and all that good stuff? Like,
Right. So I guess I mean, do people make racks here? Sure, I can get Vivarium electronic racks, and I'll pay an absolute fortune for something that isn't giving the housing space that I want
Yeah.
to house 40 baby geckos. Or I can build my own rack, and that's what I learned very quickly. Like getting something from Animal Plastics, like that's just non-existent here unless I travel across the border and then pay all the taxes and the fees at the border on that item, which all of a sudden that's increased the cost. So I build all my own racks is what I learned very quickly is the most economical thing to do. Can I get my own heat tape? Absolutely. I can get that within Canada. It's cheaper in the States, but when I factor in the price of the dollar, it's comparable. But I can build a rack out of melanistic panels and my own handiness and tools that I have here for, I'd say it's about 200 to 250. That's heat tape included. That's belly tape all the way through to house 20 adult geckos. So you're not going to beat that.
Okay. What about like supplementation and stuff too? I hear it's hard to get certain things in other places too, so you have to use different things.
Yeah, the top things for me is I'd love it if I had the racks because building takes time. Supplements is a killer for me in that I cannot Vionate is next to impossible to get here. You can get Vionate, but what I want to use is Vionate and Osteoform. That's what I started on, but I had to bring it in from the States or third parties that was going across borders. I mean, I remember I found it from some Arab site at
smuggling supplements
that was shipping from over in the United Arab Emirates. But it was the cheapest option for me to get Osteoform, and it was a worthwhile price. So Vionate, I'm now going across the border to pick up. I recently got a 10-pound tub of it, so I know where to get it, how to get it. I'm good on it now. But Osteoform, I mean, it seems like during COVID, they redirected all of their efforts to other things, the company that made it, making it hard to get across the border. Let alone in a country where it wasn't available before. So no, I can't get it, and I'm almost out of my last container of it, where I'll be switching over to Zoomed reptile calcium that I have experience using and has worked before. I did a trial this last year of trying to switch over to Arcadia. At first, it seemed to go well because it didn't clump. That was a big thing that I hated about Zoomed's. Their Reptivite as it clumped on me. The Arcadia worked great that it didn't, but I had some babies develop some MBD, and whether that was because of first-year mothers, the supplementation they were getting, I believe that's what the tie was. So I immediately switched.
Gotcha. So I could borrow the little bit you got left, or what?
No, it's mixed with the Vionate, and no.
So you said you build your racks. Can you tell us more about your setups? Like how's your setups? You use heat tape and what kind of thermostats? And you said you use melamine to build your racks.
Yeah, so I just use melamine panels. I think that the first one I built, good God, that was huge. I just took it apart this past summer. It
was like Junior's big toes.
I couldn't move it. It was so bloody heavy, but I used 3/4 or 1 inch thick melamine panels all the way through it. And of course I made it too big. Whereas now where I'm at is, I'm doing 2 tubs per row, 8 rows high melamine panels that I think I'm at 5/8 of an inch, which is that sweet spot where it'll hold. I can get the screws through. I'm able to use an oscillating saw to cut through to run the heat tape all the way down through for the belly heat on each row. And then just a real thin backing on it to hold everything in place in that regard. But it's simple. And then for thermostats, I prefer Vivarium Electronics over the Herp stats personally.
Really?
I
Why
have
is
one
that?
for
'Cause a lot
stat
of people I
2,
hear
and
that.
I have 2 of the Vivarium Electronics 300X2.
Why do you prefer them though? I hear a lot of people like the Herpostat better.
Yeah, I don't. In personal preference, I don't have a good reason in terms of one works better than the other.
I mean, to me, it's the same thing. It heats the shit up. So I don't know. It's a big price difference. So I'm like, why buy that when this does the same thing? So
Well,
that's why I go
and
to
price is
the.
comparable for the two. I don't see a huge price difference for running 2 racks off of one thermostat between buying the Herpstat 2 versus the VE300X2.
Got you.
Yeah.
Well, maybe this guy can give you some pointers because he's been building racks over there.
Yeah.
How are those coming out, Joe?
They're coming okay. I've got a routing table coming in the next 2 weeks.
Damn, dude, routing.
The router's here. The table I wanted specifically for my garage. It'll be here, and then I'll obviously start the process of designing with that. But it's coming out good, man, so far.
Okay. Well, you guys know I like to use the cheap stuff that burns my racks down and my house and everything in it. So
Bad race.
yeah. But
Bad
so
Gecko.
we talked about the blue amber eye stuff. What about cipher stuff? Because that's also not worked with a lot, and I see you have some really nice tangerine cipher stuff. So what is your goal with the cipher?
Yeah, no, I mean, I saw it being worked with a lot. It was another one of those traits that I was keeping an eye on availability. It's tough because I would work with so much more stuff if it didn't cost to import animals from the States. Geez, I saw some animals posted for this Black Friday that, geez, I would have loved to have been buying those, but importing is over. There's not another import until April.
Oh, yeah.
And I need to plan those out because when I'm importing them, it is call it $250 flat rate just to import plus tax on all the animals.
Yeah.
So that's whether I bring in 3 geckos or 8 geckos. So I try to focus everything into one import per year.
Do they tax you per gecko or just per shipment?
For the cost, it's the overall value cost of
Gotcha.
of the shipment, right?
That thing's sick.
No, I mean, like this year I brought 4 animals in, which were 2 het-free snows that are 50% extreme bold lines from Brett at B&M, and then I brought 4 animals in from juniors, white,
right?
yellow, purple head
Nice.
male that he put up, and as soon as he saw it, I've been watching for those. So it's like, all right, tag that to me, and now I'll start planning my import around you.
No, those are sick, dude. Those white and yellow purple heads, man. They have this rich tangerine, and if you cross that with that other tangerine cipher stuff you got going on, dude, I'm already like hyped for it.
Well, and that's my plan to bring that back to the cipher is that white and yellow purple head, the male that I pulled from him. I'm going to be putting him into that tangerine tremper cipher female that I'm sure you've seen posted on my Instagram.
You got her right there? No, that's not tremper, is it? We got it posted on the side here. What is this?
Yeah, that's not her though. That's one of my ciphers, but that is not the Tremper cipher. That's the other one that I am keeping. But no, she's phenomenal. Really
I am looking for it as you're talking, but is it this one here?
Yeah, that's an older picture of her.
It's big though, dude. So nasty.
I almost half one like with the high expression of her sides and one of the other trempers or one of the other ciphers that I popped out. You half wonder if there isn't some white and yellow in there, but they came from Brett as well at B&M, my original cipher animals, which I bought a male and 2 females that were all 100% het that came from a red diamond to cipher cross. I think much like you, Reese, from our conversations, right? So So no, I don't plan on doing huge amounts with the cipher outside of putting the white and yellow purple head into that female. And then I've got a real nice tremper that's holding high contrast that it is 66% plus het cipher that I'm going to put into that other cipher that you had up a moment ago, Joe, just to see if I can prove out the tremper on that one and the cipher on the tremper. Yeah.
Nice. Well, what's something else you would like to work with? I know we want to work with everything if we could, but like, what's the next gene or morph that you don't have currently that if you could get, it's on your wish list? Santa can come drop it off for you this Christmas.
Right. I got what I wanted this year that I'll be working with next year, but on my wish list, to answer your question, I think I got to call out the Bengal. I've been eyeing those for years. It's never aligned, and the more I see it and the way they hold that bold pattern better than my firebolts do outside of a couple animals, like, damn, the contrast on those is phenomenal. Anyways, I mean, that is on a list. I mean, the Monarch stuff is very, very cool as well. Will be interesting to see how it develops. But Bengal to answer your question, and then to redirect back to what I'm really excited about that I haven't worked with yet. That's Hardwickies. I bought a trio. I was able to get a trio of those from a guy here in Canada that started working with them 2 years ago from a group that he got from Europe. So I've definitely got 1.1 they were all produced in 2023, so they'll be ready to go next year. One male and one female. The other female's a little bit small, so I'll probably give her another year off before I start working with her. But so excited to work with them.
Okay. So with the Bengal though, if you ever got it, are you gonna take it to your Blue Amber Extreme Bold stuff? So I think that would be perfect.
Maybe, right? Like it I guess depends on what it has in it. But no, I've absolutely got some Blue Amber Eye stuff that is holding more of that bold pattern, like the purplish, even in the albino as well. So that could go quite nicely into that.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I saw that one you posted today. That was jealous that I couldn't order.
Nah, dude, Brett, and he has some killer Bengal crosses and Bengal Monarch crosses. I got one from him, so I have a Bengal Extreme Bold cross, 66 possible head tremper. So I'm gonna try to, test her, prove her out. If she's not het, then I'm gonna take her to some stuff. But yeah, she's super nice, dude.
The first ones I got were from Steven over at SC Reptiles, and they're pretty awesome as well. There's been some
Albie Snow.
Ooh. There's been some people who have wanted the ones that I ended up with, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I remember the first time I ever saw them. Who was it that I saw posting them? Bold and Bright. I don't know what happened to them. I haven't seen them around in ages. I don't even know who that is. But
yeah, Rudy's just taking some time. He's doing good though, and he's still breeding. I think he's just kind of disconnected from the internet for a while.
Yeah.
But Rudy's still around. Let's see, it was a year and a half ago now. Oh, I guess it's been a while, but it was summer of 23. I drove out to pick up a specific animal from him, and we had coffee together. I'm not close enough to do that anymore, but he's still around.
Yeah. No, good. He had some nice stuff.
No, he does have some nice stuff. I kept getting him mixed up with Bold and Bright or Bold and Stripe. But
okay.
Sam. That's Sam.
Yeah. But no, both good dudes. I like them both.
Yeah. So, I guess the one thing I'll highlight, because I was planning on doing this at the beginning, completely forgot. Can Geckos is not short for Canada. Those are the initials. So. Those are my daughter's initials. Claire, Audrey, and Nora. That is where that came from.
Okay. Definitely.
It was originally going to be like Knack. I was trying to play with it. It's like, wait a minute. This goes way too well together. But then after I branded, I realized, what the fuck did I just do? My company name is Can Geckos. If anybody searches Can Geckos close their eyes? Can Geckos lick their toes? Can Geckos eat their skin? They're not fighting me. They are now.
But at least it's gecko related, dude. My little brother thought my handle was a gym for the longest. He thought I was trying to get him to subscribe to come work out.
House of
I'm
Reps. Yeah.
like, dude, look at the page, you doofus. There's geckos there.
They
He's
should
like,
have gone with House of Herps.
That's what I said the
we
other day.
talked about that one too. That's a no. We've talked about that one. I didn't even know what herps was, or how it related to reptiles until after, because the way I know herps is not a good thing. So I wasn't even gonna do that. I get made fun of way too much. It's too easy, and I'm not handing them that one on a silver platter.
It goes to show for learning, like when you made your company name, you chose whore instead of ho, HOH, because you didn't know what herps were.
Yeah.
So
I'm a whore. Yeah. I put my initials one day and I was like, wait, whore? I was like, damn it, dude. I hope nobody catches that. It's really boogie reps. That's funny.
Bayside House of Representatives. That's what I think of every time I see her.
At least it's something smart.
Sorry, I put that.
It's I got it from you down in Daytona, if anything.
Yeah. Dragonheart disagrees. They say, nah, can is for Canada.
Yeah, all right.
I thought so too, dude. Or Canadian Dry, one of the two.
No, and that's it, right? Like, but that's not where it originated from.
Got you. So it's the initials of your daughter. I mean, makes sense. A lot of people's initials are their brand, so that's cool. But it's not actually yours; it's your daughter's. So what made you go with your daughter's and not yours?
No idea, right? Like I was playing with different names and acronyms and what made sense to me, and this is ultimately what I landed on, because I didn't want it to be MB or BM. Obviously, there already is a BM that's well known. So no, that's just what I landed on. No rhyme or reason to it outside of evaluating and maybe not thinking through the Google searches when I did. But
Gotcha. All right. Well, so you've had a pretty good time. I'm assuming breeding geckos. It seems fun. You got a good attitude. You're very personable. What are some downs, some bad things, or some challenges you've had to face since you've started breeding? And then like after you get past that and get over it, what happens when the next one comes? Like what else happened?
Yeah, I mean we've all lost. Maybe not all, but I mean I lost a not a project, but I lost a line that I wanted to work with because of what I hatched out. And I'm sure that we've all seen some of those anomalies along the way, and a responsible breeder will pet those animals out and pet out the right back to the source of the problem and wipe it and move on, right? You don't screw with it. And the example I'll give is I had a female fireball that I produced in the first year, and her first year she produced a ton of babies, but I had one pop out with 4 legs, but 2 feet on each leg. So they literally were like this, back to back on her hands. So 8 feet in essence, and it wasn't just 10 toes on that leg. There was an excrement for the foot as well, is the way I'd call it. One is a one-off. 2, this that I hatched out, something's fucked. This is either an incubator or something screwed. I hatched out a third and I wiped that whole project and petted out the female.
You just had mutants hatching.
And I've never heard of anybody hatching something like that out before. I have no doubt that there's something in that genetic. I haven't seen it since.
Wait, what was it exactly? Sorry, I missed that.
What was
what was the pairing? Yeah,
what did you hatch out?
I hatched out babies that had two feet coming off of the leg.
Okay.
Yeah, double feet.
Double feet, and the 3 of them.
All 4 legs, or just like
all 4 legs?
Yeah,
otherwise normal. And if they were capable of shedding properly, right? Like you know how geckos struggle with their feet. Let alone if you've got a backside, you're not. I was manually trying to help them shed to see if I could get them to survive. But ultimately, they all wound up getting culled because they weren't going to have a quality of life. But
Yeah,
yeah.
bunch of
Brett
mutants.
says you
in
got a
there.
radiation problem, man. You got a new handle, bro. That's awesome.
God damn.
Oh, good job, Brett.
No, but you know what?
Oh,
Hey,
man.
call spade a spade, right? Like some people are afraid of these topics, and
Nah,
I'm
dude.
not, right? Like this is how I operate. Anytime that something odd happens, so that was a huge
It's
downside
nature.
for me because that was that female was nice, and I remember she is a lovely pet home. I sold her for $60.
What was the genetics on that? What was the project?
No, it was just a firebolt female.
Oh,
It was a firebolt female, that I produced in year one. That was throwing those, and it was a firebolt male that I put her to, that was producing them. And
Oh,
I mean, I had used him for 4 pairings that year. Nothing else happened. I've continued testing him along the way. He's never thrown anything else. I
that was
believe
good.
it all sources back to that female.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. So in all your years of breeding, just pretty much that's one of your biggest issues you've had is that female.
That was that was a obviously we struggle with eggs here and there. One of my big changes this year was the incubator. I invested in somebody who builds like fridge style
Good.
incubators that
So you're not
hold
using the microwave
temperature.
anymore?
not
What's
using the
that?
So you're
microwave.
not using the microwave anymore?
No.
That's awesome.
But
might
no,
be why
that's
you're
holding
hatching
the
out.
temperature real nice. Is
It
that
might be why you're hatching out new stuff. I wonder, is it a wine cooler or?
No, it's bigger than a wine cooler.
Oh, it's like an old
It,
fridge, like a
it's a
fridge.
fridge.
Yeah.
Not a full size fridge, but what you would see in
Like the back of a bar or something, like a Coca-Cola fridge.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Like a monster fridge. I see those all the time. I wish
Yeah.
I could get one, but I don't have
It,
the space for it yet.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean that is my primary incubator that I'm using for my males. At this point, and at some point I'll invest in another one, but starting with that.
So you just have one incubator for females and males?
No. I was running 3 different incubators,
Oh, sweet.
but using like the marketed ones, the Reptibator and the whatever
Oh,
Zoom
okay,
Eggs
okay.
version was of it along the way. Which obviously you can throw a thermostat on it and all you want, but they don't hold that temperature the way that a fridge does. Which
I used to have the little Vivo one, and those things suck, dude. Like out of nowhere, it spiked like 100 degrees in the middle
yeah.
of the night. It'd be fine all day, and when you're asleep at 5 in the morning, it's cooking everything. I had to toss that thing.
Which brand was that?
It's called Vivo or Vero or something like that. There's off brands. It's the same cooler.
Yep.
They just don't have the branding on it. But yeah, they're not bad. They're like 60, $80 sometimes here and there. But yeah, that was one of the first ones I had. It worked out great for the first year.
Yeah.
But after year 2, yeah, it just started malfunctioning. And I'm glad it did because I upgraded to a Sea Serpent hot box that's been doing great. And then I built one for myself for a female one. So
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
help me upgrade. So
Well,
yeah,
and that's my plan is ultimately use the model that I have for somebody who knew what they were doing and just recreate it, right? Like
yeah.
I'm handy, I'm intelligent, I know that I can do that.
You can always do what Bayside does. I hear he sits on the eggs until they're
Yeah.
ready to hatch.
I heard that. I did hear that.
Yeah, it was somewhere on Facebook. I read it.
He calls it the hovabator. I don't know. It's like a move he does.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. But it
Oh
seems to
Lord.
be working, man. He does have some fire
Oh,
geckos.
yeah.
Absolutely.
He's hatching left and right, dude.
Yeah.
So no, I'd say that would be one of the biggest difficulties that kind of ran through along the way was that learning lesson, and not a learning lesson, but just losing that
Learning curve. Yeah.
yeah, and doing the right thing, right?
Yeah.
Because there were some other gorgeous animals that hatched out, but they've got it in there. Those are pets.
They're going to create more mutants, and then you have the
Yep.
X-Men geckos running around.
Yep. Whether it's next year or 7 years down the road, maybe there's nothing there, but maybe there is. The responsible thing to do is those are pets.
That's funny.
Jeez.
Hot sauce and tacos, and then I sit and wait. Oh, jeez.
Well, we're about over an hour now, so we've pretty much touched all the questions minus one that we've been saving. I might let Joe ask that if he wants to.
Oh yeah, I don't know what mountain it is in Canada, but do you know what Mount Rushmore is?
It's Mount A.
Mount A.
Yeah.
Mount A.
So, well, if you do know what it is, then what would be your Mount Rushmore of gecko breeders in the hobby?
Yeah. So there's the obvious, right? I mean, to me, Tremper and John are there. Those are industry leaders that are influential right across our entire hobby, and also influential in what I have taken from them indirectly. So those are the two that stand there. I mean, there's been lots of other people along the way that I think that deserve their spot there, right, for different reasons. But I'm not throwing them there. I mean, for me, it's John, it's Tremper, and then personally, it's Chris Charlton. Those are my three. I know that Rushmore is four. I can plug in lots of different people who had an influence on the hobby, but this is my Mount Rushmore. It's three, and the fourth is yet to come.
Saving a spot for me. I got you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
10 years.
But no, I mean the others that have had influence or have been around a long time, right? You've got your Sykes, you got your Marsha McGinnis's, all those folks along the way. But to me, I don't have that direct influence outside of what they've left on the hobby as a whole, which there's too many to name. Those three.
Nice. That's a pretty solid answer, though. I can't lie.
No, I like it. Yeah, all good breeders. Charlton, Scarborough, and Tremper.
Yeah,
those are some of the best out there. So.
Yeah, I hope Charlton comes back as well, right? We all saw that he was taking the year to not produce a bunch of $25 geckos.
I think that was more of an economical statement, though, than him leaving the hobby. But
nope.
I mean, we don't know.
And that's it. He's continuing to work those lines. So I'm excited to see what he's been cooking because I know that he was upgrading facilities recently as well. So no, there's no leaving the hobby from at least.
Maybe we can squeeze him in on season 3 or something. Talk about it. Well, all right. So you got your Mount Rushmore. But I do have another follow-up question.
Yeah.
What is it you want to accomplish in this hobby? Like you said multiple times, you're not going anywhere. You're here to stay. I'm the same way. But the older I get, I am thinking 50 years old. I don't know if I want to be cleaning poop every day.
Yeah.
So what do I want to accomplish before I get out? So what is it you want to accomplish in this hobby before you leave?
Yeah, and I mean, I don't have any stretch that I'm going to have a massive impact on the hobby in any way, shape, or form. My plan with where this fits within my life is focusing on very specific things and really honing in on those. I want to be producing around 100 animals a year. If that's up to 140, fine. As long as I can move, I won't overproduce. That is what it comes to. But 80 to 120 is that sweet spot in my eyes. And as I work on all these other projects, I'm quickly learning that I need to let other things go. So for me, it's about those things that I can differentiate and do something with. So my blue amber eye stuff. My next plan with that is adding snow and adding white and yellow into my blue amber eye rainwater, and that obviously also working my bold blue amber eye project without the visual rainwater in it. And then the white and yellow purple head, very, very excited to be working with that. And then the Tremper, and where that goes, I don't know, right? Hopefully what I'm producing is something that you guys down in the States will want to invest in the export fees to be pulling my stuff down the way that you buy all of Brandon and Holly's stuff all the time. But time will tell.
I got a list coming, my dude. I got a list coming. You're on the list. So we'll be grabbing some of your stuff here soon. Trust me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Mark, I want to tell you I appreciate you for coming on here and entertaining us for an hour. It was really great to, get to see you on here and get to know you a little bit. Reese, great job, man, carrying the show and taking us in. Hopefully, I wanted to draw everybody's attention to the new podcast, the Power Hour. It's obviously a part of the Geckoverse channel, but we are experiencing a few changes here or there. Roll with us. Things are going to go late. Welcome, Thomas. You are late, but that's all right, man. You can still watch the show. Mark's a very interesting dude. I highly recommend you hop on. Every now and then we're going to be throwing a pre-recorded on a Wednesday, and we did one this Wednesday. It loaded in the wrong area, so I loaded it up today. Angel and Reese joined me on there. A couple of quick questions about husbandry. So if you guys ever want to look on Wednesdays and see if anything was pre-recorded, we'll have those. But other than that, thank you again, Mark.
We got one more little announcement, though. Next week, we'll be doing a gecko giveaway to anybody in the comments. So we're going to make another announcement video, a little post so everybody can get the rules and all that good stuff down. But make sure you tune in next Friday. We're definitely going to have another guest, Angel from Dogtown Geckos. We're going to talk about photography, all types of good stuff, bells, different things like that. But, yeah, we also want to give back. So anybody tuning in the comments definitely wins a chance. We're going to raffle off at the end of the show, and somebody's going to get a gecko.
Yeah. Oh, and I did have one question that was asked about Jen. She's had some scheduling conflicts. She is still around, but obviously she and I have our show, and this is the new one. So she'll be back as soon as she can.
All right.
Anything you want to exit with, Mark?
No, just give me a follow. I don't promote that much. I think I'm still under 500 followers.
Go follow the man.
You got one during the show, man. Scott over at Noble Family Geckos, Noble Family Fauna. He followed you during the show, and I'm sure others will.
Yep. And then, for anybody listening from Canada, we got the Reptile and Plant Expo this weekend. So I need to go downstairs, deal with geckos, finish packing, and then I'm off tomorrow to Toronto.
Oh, yeah. You're doing an expo this weekend, right?
Yeah. Sunday's the show, so I'll travel tomorrow.
Oh, good luck, man. I hope you do well.
Appreciate it. All right. Thank you.